200 hours, hostile airspace, northern sector. The stealth fighter cuts through the thin air at 30,000 feet, a jagged shadow against the moonlight. Below, the jungle canopy stretches out like a solid black ocean, unbroken and silent. The pilot breathes rhythmically, the oxygen regulator clicking with every inhalation inside the pressurized cockpit. Green instrument lights reflect off his visor as he monitors the navigation waypoints. The mission proceeds with absolute mechanical precision. The world outside is cold, dark, and indifferent. A sharp tone cuts through the comms. The radar warning receiver flashes red. A solid lock-on tone screams. The pilot banks hard right. He punches the flare release. Magnesium decoys burst into blinding white flowers behind the jet. The enemy missile ignores them. It slams into the starboard engine. The explosion tears the wing apart. Titanium shreds like paper. Shrapnel rips through the fuselage, severing hydraulic lines. The aircraft shudders violently, losing all lift. Fire engulfs the rear section, turning the exhaust into a torch. The nose pitches down. The jet enters a flat spin, tumbling uncontrollably toward the earth. Gravity hammers the pilot into his seat. The G-forces squeeze the air from his lungs. Warning lights flash in a seizure of red and yellow. Smoke pours into the cockpit, acrid and choking. The horizon spins wildly. The altimeter unwinds in a blur. He grips the yellow ejection handle between his legs. He pulls. Explosive bolts blow the glass canopy away. The seat rockets upward on a pillar of flame. The sudden deceleration hits him like a sledgehammer. Cold air blasts him at 400 miles per hour. The fighter jet spirals away below him. It smashes into the side of a mountain ridge. A massive orange fireball erupts, illuminating the valley floor. The shockwave ripples through the trees, snapping trunks like matchsticks. The pilot hangs in the air. The parachute cracks open with a bone-jarring snap. The harness yanks him upward, bruising his shoulders. He drifts into the cloud layer. Rain lashes against his flight suit. The ground rushes up to meet him. He crashes through the triple canopy jungle. Thick branches whip his helmet. Wood snaps. Leaves tear at his gear. He slams into the mud. The impact knocks the wind out of him. He rolls instinctively, shedding the parachute harness. He drags himself behind a thick root system. He checks his body. His left ankle throbs visibly. He ignores it. He pulls a survival radio from his vest. He keys the mic twice. A burst of static confirms the signal is out. He buries the parachute under wet leaves. He smears mud over his visor to kill the reflection. Distant engines roar to life in the valley below. Headlights sweep across the trees. Dogs bark aggressively. A truck convoy moves up the winding mountain road. Armed soldiers jump from the tailgates, flashlights cutting through the mist. They saw the explosion. They know where he is. The pilot draws his service pistol and racks the slide. He melts into the shadows. 300 hours, stratosphere, 30,000 feet above the target zone. The cargo bay of the transport aircraft vibrates with suppressed energy. The heavy turboprops drone steadily against the thin air. Inside, 6 operators stand in a tight column. They wear oxygen masks and heavy load-bearing vests packed with ammunition and medical gear. The red warning light bathes the metal floor in a bloody hue. The jumpmaster holds up one finger. The hydraulic whine engages. The rear ramp begins to lower. The cabin depressurizes with a sharp hiss. The roar of the slipstream floods the bay, drowning out the engine drone. The temperature plummets instantly to sub-zero. Ice crystals form on the metal ramp. The operators check their wrist altimeters. The red light turns green. The jumpmaster points to the void. The team steps off the edge. Gravity claims them. They plunge into the freezing darkness. They fall in a tight formation, bodies angled to track forward through the sky. The wind screams over their helmets. They plummet at 120 miles per hour. The rush of air batters their flight suits. They lock their arms to their sides to maintain stability. The altimeters on their wrists count down rapidly. 20,000 feet. 15,000. The cloud deck swallows them. Visibility drops to 0. Cold moisture lashes their goggles. They punch through the bottom of the clouds, emerging back into the clear night air. 4,000 feet. The team leader checks his wrist. He waves his hand. The formation separates to avoid mid-air collisions. He pulls the ripcord. The pilot chute catches the air. The main canopy streams out and snaps open with a violent crack. The harness jerks him upright, arresting the fall. The wind noise vanishes. Silence dominates. He steers the rectangular parachute toward the designated drop zone. A black patch of swamp awaits between 2 hills. The ground rushes up. Trees loom like jagged spears. The leader flares his canopy, braking his descent. He drops between 2 towering cypress trees. His boots hit the black water. He splashes down waist deep. The impact sends ripples through the stagnant algae. The parachute collapses on the surface, looking like a giant jellyfish. He punches the quick release buckles. The harness falls away. He raises his assault rifle instantly. Water drips from the suppressor. He scans the tree line through green-tinted night vision. Nothing moves. He taps his headset. A click responds. The rest of the team splashes down nearby. One by one, they emerge from the reeds. They resemble swamp monsters covered in mud and vegetation. They drag their rucksacks from the water. They check the seals on their equipment. The team leader checks his wrist GPS. The crash site sits 3 kilometers north. He signals with a closed fist. The team forms a wedge formation. They begin to push through the sludge. The mud sucks at their boots with every step. 3:30 hours, deep jungle, 3 clicks south of the crash site. The heat is suffocating. Insects buzz in a deafening electric drone that masks the sound of movement. Vines hang like thick ropes, blocking every path. The ground is a mixture of rotting vegetation and slick black mud. The air smells of decay and standing water. The special operations team moves like ghosts through the undergrowth. They step carefully, rolling their feet heel to toe to avoid snapping twigs. Night vision goggles turn the chaotic forest into a glowing green tunnel. The point man hacks through a wall of bamboo with a machete. The blade slices silently. Razor grass slashes at their gloves. The mud sucks at their boots, trying to pull them down with every step. Sweat soaks through their camouflage uniforms. The team leader checks his compass. He corrects their bearing by 5 degrees. They slide down a steep embankment into a ravine. Water rushes over jagged rocks. They cross the stream, weapons held high above the surface. The current pushes hard against their thighs. One operator slips on a mossy stone. He recovers his balance instantly, bracing his hand against a wet boulder. He does not make a sound. They climb the opposite bank. The point man stops. He raises a fist. The column freezes. He points a gloved finger toward the canopy. High above, a shred of white nylon flutters against a dark branch. It is the pilot's parachute. It hangs snagged on a mahogany tree 50 feet off the ground. The risers dangle empty. The harness is gone. The pilot cut himself free. The team advances to the base of the tree. The medic scans the ground. He finds a patch of crushed ferns. Dark liquid smears the broad leaves. He touches it. It is blood. It is still tacky. The pilot survived the fall, but he is bleeding. The tracker kneels in the muck nearby. He activates a low-power infrared torch. The beam reveals a mess of footprints. The prints are chaotic. One set drags, indicating a limping man, but other prints overlay them. These are different. They are deep and heavy. They belong to combat boots with aggressive tread patterns. The tracker finds a cigarette butt floating in a puddle. The paper is dry, the ash is still gray. The tracker looks up. He slashes his hand across his throat. Enemy! He holds up 2 fingers, then 5. 7 minutes ahead. The team leader nods. He switches the safety off on his carbine. The metallic click is barely audible, but it signals a shift in the atmosphere. The rescue mission is now a hunt. He hand signals for a spread formation. The operators fan out, blending into the dense foliage. They lower their profiles. They begin to stalk. 3:45 hours, dense jungle ridge. The mist clings to the trees like a shroud, dampening sound and blurring vision. The special operations team lies prone in a line along the muddy embankment. They are completely motionless. Their camouflage blends perfectly with the wet ferns and rotting logs. Insects crawl over their hands, but no one flinches. Below them, a narrow dirt game trail cuts through the undergrowth. The air is still, heavy with the metallic smell of ozone and wet earth. A twig snaps. Low voices drift up from the trail. A patrol emerges from the fog. 6 enemy soldiers move quickly in a single column. They carry assault rifles slung low and sweep the ground with flashlights. They are tracking the blood trail. The point man stops. He squats down and touches a smear of red on a leaf. He shouts to the others. He points his rifle up the ridge directly toward the hidden team. The team leader squeezes his hand 3 times. The operators align their sights. Invisible infrared laser dots settle on enemy chests. The leader fires. Foot! The point man's head snaps back violently. He drops like a stone. The rest of the team fires in unison. Foot, foot, foot. The suppressed shots sound like heavy staple guns. Bullets tear through uniforms and flesh. 3 soldiers crumple instantly, their bodies hitting the mud with wet thuds. One soldier spins around, his chest erupting in a spray of crimson mist. He falls backward over a root. The rear guard soldier dives behind a thick mahogany log. He is wounded in the shoulder. He fumbles frantically for the radio handset on his vest. He screams into the mic, "Contact! Contact! Sector 4!" The team leader shifts his aim. He tracks the movement behind the log. He fires 1 round. The bullet punches through the rotting wood. It strikes the soldier in the throat. The screaming stops abruptly. The handset falls into the mud. Silence returns to the ridge. Smoke wisps lazily from the suppressors. The enemy radio crackles on the ground. An angry voice yells back from the main base. They heard the warning. The element of surprise is gone. The jungle begins to wake up. Distant sirens start to wail. 400 hours, Rocky Ravine, northern sector. The terrain shifts from mud to jagged limestone. The team moves at a sprint now. Stealth is abandoned for speed. Boots scramble over loose shale. Breath comes in heavy, ragged gasps. The ravine walls rise vertically on both sides, creating a natural kill box. Shadows stretch long and deep across the valley floor. The sound of shouting echoes from the ridgeline above. The enemy is closing the net. The point man halts. He raises a fist. He points to a crevice between two massive boulders. A figure lies wedged in the gap. It is the pilot. He holds a pistol in a trembling hand. His flight suit is torn and soaked in dark blood. One leg is twisted at an unnatural angle. Bone protrudes through the fabric. The team surrounds the position instantly. Two operators spin outward, weapons trained on the high ground. The team leader grabs the pilot's shoulder. He identifies the friendly patch. The pilot lowers the gun. His head lolls back against the rock. The medic slides in. He rips the flight suit leg open. He snaps a glow stick, shielding the light with his body. The injury is a compound fracture. He works fast. He jams a morphine auto-injector into the pilot's thigh. He packs the wound with clotting gauze. He wraps a pressure bandage tight. The pilot grunts through clenched teeth. A single shot rings out from the ridge. A bullet sparks off the boulder inches from the leader's head. Stone fragments spray his face. Contact front! High ground! The ridgeline erupts. Muzzle flashes sparkle like strobes along the cliff edge. Heavy machine gun fire rakes the ravine floor. Bullets hammer the rocks, kicking up blinding clouds of limestone dust. The noise is deafening. The air snaps with supersonic cracks. The team drops behind cover. The heavy weapons operator rests his belt-fed machine gun on a flat rock. He pulls the trigger. The weapon roars. A stream of tracers arcs upward, slashing into the tree line. Branches shatter. The enemy fire falters under the suppression. The team leader grabs the radio handset. He screams over the gunfire. Jackpot secure! We are pinned! Requesting immediate fire mission on my coordinates plus 200! He throws a smoke grenade. Thick purple smoke hisses out, filling the gap. The medic drags the pilot deeper into the cover of the rocks. The pilot screams as his leg drags over the stone. 4:30 hours, rural settlement, valley floor. The ravine opens into a cluster of mud brick dwellings. Corrugated tin roofs rattle in the wind. The village appears deserted, but the silence is artificial. A stray dog slinks into an alleyway with its tail tucked. The air smells of burning charcoal and rotting garbage. The team emerges from the tree line, moving fast. Two operators support the wounded pilot, dragging his good leg through the dust. Their boots crunch loudly on the gravel road. The point man scans the rooftops. A shutter slams open on a second-story balcony. A barrel protrudes from the shadows. Left side, high! The balcony erupts. A heavy machine gun hammers the street. Bullets tear up the ground, kicking up a wall of dirt and stone. The team dives behind a low concrete wall. Rounds impact the other side, chipping away the masonry with violent cracks. Dust chokes the air. The noise is deafening in the confined space. The team leader signals the grenadier. He points to the window. The grenadier racks the slide of his launcher. He leans out. He fires. Thump! The 40mm grenade arcs over the street. It sails through the open window. A dull explosion blows the tin roof off the building. Smoke pours from the gap. The machine gun falls silent. Move! Move! The team surges forward. They sprint across the open courtyard. The pilot grunts with every step, his face pale and slick with sweat. An enemy soldier steps out from a doorway, raising an assault rifle. The rear guard fires 2 shots from the hip. The soldier crumples backward, knocking over a stack of crates. More fire pours in from the flanks. Bullets zip past their heads like angry hornets. They slam into a wooden fence, splintering the boards. The team crashes through the front door of a farmhouse. The point man clears the room in a blur of motion. He kicks a table over for cover. The team drags the pilot into the kitchen. The walls shake as bullets riddle the exterior. Plaster dust rains down from the ceiling. The team leader checks his magazine. He is low on ammo. He grabs a fragmentation grenade. He pulls the pin. He hurls it out the back door into the alley. Boom! Shrapnel pings against the metal siding. A scream follows. The explosion clears the path. The leader kicks the back door open. Go! Go! They burst out the back, leaving the smoking village behind them. They hit the tall grass, running for the tree line. 500 hours, the river crossing. The jungle thins out near the riverbank. A rusted steel truss bridge spans the fast-moving water. It is the only route to the extraction zone. Fog rises from the surface, obscuring the far bank. The team halts at the edge of the vegetation. The pilot leans heavily against the medic, his breathing ragged and shallow. The team leader raises his binoculars. A dark shape blocks the center of the bridge. It is an armored personnel carrier. Its diesel engine idles with a low guttural rumble. The heavy turret swivels mechanically. The spotlight mounted on the barrel sweeps the tree line. It stops directly on their position. The autocannon erupts. Thump, thump, thump. High-caliber rounds smash into the trees. Trunks explode into jagged splinters. The ground erupts in geysers of dirt and mud. The team dives into a shallow drainage ditch. The noise is a physical assault. The rounds chew through the earth just inches above their heads. The pilot curls into a ball covering his ears. The air fills with pulverized wood and the sharp tang of cordite. The team leader grabs the demolition specialist by the vest. He screams over the roar of the cannon. "Clear that choke point! Drop the span!" The demo man nods. He unslings a heavy satchel charge. He arms the detonator. The team's machine gunner props his weapon on the lip of the ditch. "Suppressing!" He holds the trigger down. A long stream of tracer fire hammers the armored vehicle's front armor. Sparks fly off the metal hull. The turret pauses, momentarily blinded by the impact. The demo man breaks cover. He sprints low across the open asphalt. The turret swings back toward the movement. The cannon roars again. Bullets stitch a line in the road just behind his heels. Concrete chips fly like shrapnel. He slides into the base of the main bridge support. He jams the explosive pack into the rusted steel girder. He twists the timer. He rolls backward, throwing himself over the embankment into the reeds. Boom! The explosion is sharp and bright. A shockwave ripples across the water. The steel girder shears in half with a metallic scream. The bridge groans. The structure twists violently. The road deck buckles underneath the armored carrier. The vehicle tilts. It loses traction. It slides sideways, crashing through the weakened railing. It plunges nose first into the river below. A massive splash sends water high into the air. Steam hisses as the hot engine hits the cold current. The vehicle sinks rapidly, disappearing into the black water. The bridge remains standing, but the center span is twisted and empty. "Move! Now!" The team scrambles up the bank. They run across the warped metal deck, stepping over the smoking blast crater. 5:15 hours, open plateau south of the river. The sky turns a bruised purple as dawn approaches. Mist mixes with the thick black smoke from the bridge explosion. The team moves through waist-high elephant grass. The pilot drags his leg, his boots leaving deep furrows in the dirt. His breathing is loud and wet. The team forms a tight protective circle around him. They are exposed. There is no cover for 500 meters. A red flare pops overhead. It hangs in the sky, hissing as it burns. The harsh light casts long, dancing shadows across the field. Engines roar from the east. Military trucks crest the ridgeline. Infantry swarm from the tree line to the west. A heavy machine gun opens up from the north. The trap snaps shut. Bullets cut through the grass like scythes. The ground erupts around the team. Mud and grass spray into their faces. They drop prone instantly. The volume of fire increases. It is a solid wall of lead. The radio man takes a round to his vest plate. The impact knocks the wind out of him. He rolls over, gasping, but keeps his grip on the handset. The team leader screams into the radio. Broken arrow, danger close, coordinates marked." He pulls an infrared strobe from his webbing. He throws it onto the open ground 5 meters ahead of their position. The device pulses with a rhythmic light, invisible to the naked eye but blinding on thermal sensors. The enemy advances. They shout commands. They sense the kill. They are 100 meters away. A low rumble shakes the air. It grows rapidly to a deafening scream. 2 fighter jets drop out of the cloud deck. They dive at near vertical angles. Their engines howl. The wings flash as munitions separate from the pylons. The bombs fall silently for a split second. Crack, boom! The earth shatters. A wall of fire rolls across the enemy line. The shockwave hits the team like a physical blow, lifting them slightly off the ground. The heat is instant and searing. The enemy trucks disintegrate. Metal twists into unrecognizable shapes. The infantry wave vanishes in the flash. A mushroom cloud of dirt and debris rises 300 feet into the air. The jets pull up hard. The afterburners ignite with a blue roar. They climb back into the clouds, leaving a trail of thunder. Silence returns to the plateau. The ringing in the operator's ears masks the sound of falling dirt. The enemy line is gone. Only burning craters remain. 5:30 hours, designated LZ, smoldering plateau. The dust from the airstrike hangs suspended in the air, creating a thick, gray fog. The smell of ozone and burning diesel is overpowering. The team lies in a defensive perimeter around the pilot. The pilot's eyes roll back. His skin is gray. He is going into shock. A low, rhythmic, thumping vibration starts in the ground. It builds rapidly to a chest-vibrating roar. The rescue helicopter bursts over the tree line. The nose pitches up aggressively. The pilot flares the machine to bleed off speed. The heavy downwash hits the ground with the force of a hurricane. Debris flies everywhere. Leaves, dirt, and burning branches whip into a blinding brown cloud. The landing gear slams onto the uneven earth, crushing the tall grass. The side doors slide open. 2 door gunners lean out behind rotary machine guns. They do not wait for targets. They open fire on the surrounding jungle immediately. Bert! The barrels spin in a blur. A solid stream of tracers pours into the tree line to suppress any surviving enemy infantry. Branches shear off, trees splinter. The noise is a continuous, tearing scream. Hot brass casings rain down from the guns, clinking onto the metal ramp like a shower of gold coins. The crew chief jumps onto the ramp. He waves his arm frantically in a wide circle. Go, go, go! The team leader grabs the pilot's vest. The medic grabs the legs. They lift him. They stumble forward into the violent rotor wash. The wind pushes against them like a solid hand. Sand blasts their goggles. They struggle up the ramp, boots slipping on the metal. They throw the pilot onto the floor of the cabin. Blood smears the non-slip coating. The operators scramble aboard one by one. The heavy weapons man moves last, walking backward, his machine gun still trained on the smoke. He dives onto the ramp. The crew chief grabs his webbing and hauls him inside. The chief hits the intercom button. He screams into his mic. Load clear! Pull pitch! Pull pitch! 5:35 hours, airspace above the extraction zone. The rescue helicopter shudders violently as the engines hit maximum power. The rotors claw at the humid air. The aircraft lurches upward, heavy with men and equipment. The landing gear leaves the ground. The dust cloud swirls beneath the belly, obscuring the burning craters. The nose drops. The helicopter gathers speed, skimming just 10 feet above the scorched grass. A flash illuminates the tree line to the east. A trail of white smoke streaks upward. It is a shoulder-fired rocket. It corkscrews through the air, locking onto the heat of the exhaust. Missile! 3 o'clock! The pilot slams the stick to the left. The helicopter banks aggressively, tilting almost 90 degrees. The G-force pins the operators to the metal floor. The crew chief punches the countermeasure button. Pop, 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 pop. Magnesium flares burst from the tail boom. They bloom into balls of intense white fire, hotter than the engine exhaust. The rocket swerves. It chases the decoys. It detonates 50 yards behind the tail rotor. The shockwave slaps the airframe. The helicopter bucks, but the blades keep spinning. The door gunner leans out against his harness. He depresses the spade grips on his machine gun. He fires one long final burst into the jungle canopy. Tracers sow a line of destruction through the leaves. He releases the trigger. The barrels glow red hot. Smoke trails from the muzzle. The helicopter climbs rapidly. It punches through the layer of smoke and lingering tear gas. It rises above the tree line. The view expands. The jungle stretches out below, a sea of green broken only by the rising column of black smoke from the bridge and the airstrike. Inside the cabin, the adrenaline crash hits. The operators slump against the bulkheads. Their chests heave. Sweat cuts channels through the camouflage paint on their faces. They check their weapons, clicking safeties on. The team leader taps the headset of the pilot. He gives a thumbs up. The medic works in the center of the floor. He hangs a bag of saline from a hook on the ceiling. He inserts an IV line into the pilot's arm. He checks the pulse. It is weak but steady. The pilot opens his eyes. He looks at the blood on his flight suit, then up at the medic. He nods once. He closes his eyes again. The sun breaks over the horizon. Golden light floods the cabin, washing out the red tactical lights. The helicopter banks north, leaving the hostile territory behind. The sound of the wind rushing past the open doors changes pitch as they reach cruising speed. The jungle fades into the distance. The team leader leans his head back against the vibrating metal wall. He exhales a long breath. The mission is over.